Peta Hewitt, La-Artistino. Today I thought I would just do a bit of colouring for you. I've had a lot of people who've seen my speed colourings state that they find it a little bit too fast when they're trying to follow what I'm actually doing. So I thought I'd do a partial colouring video for you in which you can actually see how I go about colouring each piece. And I thought I'd just do a bit of talking about colouring in general, my thoughts, and answer a couple of your questions. Firstly though, I would like to shout out a special thanks to Roshani and Kathy. I really do appreciate your patronism. Today I'll be doing some more work in Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest. This is the dust cover which comes with the version that I've got, and I take that off and store it separately to protect it while I'm working in the book. I'll be using my Faber Castell Polychromos. People have asked me about the case I use. This is it. I have all my Polychromos pencils in here, and I have my Derwent Inktense pencils in the other side. This case is a Tran case made in the USA, very sturdy, and it stores everything. Though it's getting a little full now, so if I want more pencils, I'm going to have to buy another case. The other pencils that I'll be using are my old Derwents in their wooden case. These are my two favourite pencils to use in Johanna Basford's books because the tooth is just gorgeous and they blend so nicely. I'll also be using a couple of erasers for when I do make mistakes or when I want to lighten something that I've made too dark. And I have got a Staedtler metal sharpener with its two blades, one for the big hole, one for the little hole. I very rarely use the big hole. I don't have many pencils that fit in there. So I find when the blade starts to wear out on the little hole, I just swap the blades so that I can double the lifespan of this little sharpener. I just picked these up pretty cheaply. I think they cost me $1.20 at Officeworks. And also right next to me is something you rarely see, and that is my book of colours. Every single Polychromos that I own is here from the original sets and all the ones that I've added to it. And if I flick through to this page, here's all my Derwent artist pencils. This is the full set that came with the wooden box all those years ago. And just look at the number of greens and browns. This set of pencils was definitely made for nature and wildlife. Okay, let's begin. One other thing, I've also started to personalize some of these pictures. It might be a bit faint for you to see here, but I've actually drawn in a little hedge along the back of behind these trees, and in the distance I've got some mountains. I've just drawn them in with a fine liner after first deciding where to put them with a grey lead pencil, and I've erased the grey lead pencil afterwards. I've also decided to add a little foxy guy here, just peeking out through the ferns because I like foxes, and I thought I just wanted to personalise this picture a little bit more. I see a lot of people like to add their own bits to these pictures, and certainly a lot of them just invite. They've got the space to invite something else. You may or may not want to do this, depends on your artistic skills and your confidence, but it is a little fun just to make a little bit more your picture by adding something special to it. Oh look, there's a bunny rabbit there. I hope my fox doesn't get it. Right, now I've already selected some colours from both of my range of pencils. I know people ask me all the time, what colours do I use? For these bushes I've used, let's think, I've got a couple of Derwent pencils here. That one's the terracotta, that one's the burnt carmine. I really like this one. It's a real kind of a rich sort of reddish dark brown colour. I've also got a really light rose pink, and in the Polychromos I've got let's see now, that's the pink madder lake, that's the fuchsia, and that's the crimson. Okay, I've done a couple of these already, so I'll just continue. Now how I'm going about these are a bit of a puzzle, and I actually sort of started and stopped and rubbed out a few times on these when I wasn't satisfied, and I've decided to go for the pink. The main reason I went for the pink is because I did such a very bright green on the leaves up the top, and I needed something to draw the eye back down here. It's a bit of colour balance. Look at your picture and look where your eyes are being drawn to, and think, is that what you want your focus to be, or do you want your focus to be more diffused? So spread your bright colours out to where you want them, and your duller colours. And right now I'm using an interesting colouring technique where I'm just going to outline everything quite thickly with the crimson around the outside of the bush, and now I'm going to just outline the branches as well. These branches I've already coloured in terracotta, and I'm going to tip them with the burnt carmine to give them little blackened ends, but not really black, because black would look dirty in this picture. The brown looks much nicer. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of using black unless I actually want black. I prefer to use other colours and just make them dark, the area darker with them. There we go. This is about the pace I would work. And I'm pressing fairly hard because I just want a nice, thick, rich layer of crimson. And so a lot of people ask me, how do I go about picking colours for a picture? Now that's not an easy question to answer. I'd love to be able to say, oh yeah, you just do X, Y, Z and bang, there's your colours. But it can be that simple, but you know, it can also be a bit more complicated. My advice, if you're stuck on what colours to do, there's several things that you actually can do. Number one, I absolutely advise you to start studying colour theory. There are plenty of websites online and YouTube videos that will tell you about colour theory and explain the primary colours, the secondary colours, the tertiary colours, complementary colours, so that you understand basically how colours work with each other. Next, I think another quick easy fix for deciding colours is to go to one of the websites where you can generate a colour palette. You can sort of put in a couple of colours and it will generate a colour palette for you, and you can sort of manipulate with sliders or whatever they have on the screen so that you can adjust and get a colour palette that pleases you, and then use that as a basis for how you're going to go about colouring your picture. There is quite a large number of these colour generators, and just look up colour palette generator on a search engine and you'll come up with some, and try them out and see which ones you like. Another option that you can do, which is also even simpler, is just look around your house. Look at the pictures on the walls, look at your cushion covers, anything that interests you, sort of like when you see a dress that's made up of a nice selection of colours and think, oh, I like that particular purple with that particular blue and that particular yellow, and then go to your pencils and select pencils that are the same colours and then use them in your drawing. I think that's one of the easiest way. I know a sneaky way you can do is when you're out shopping, or you know, even out and about and you see something that are colours that attract you, take a photo of it, bring it home, and then, well, the photo, not the object, unless you want to buy it, of course, and use that to select your colours. Another way that I pick colours is if I'm doing something that's realistic, say in one of my nature books, I will research the animal or the plant that, or the building that I want to colour, and I will use that photos of them as a basis for choosing the colours. And it's really handy because sometimes I think, oh yeah, I know exactly what colour an echidna is, and I go to colour an echidna and it will be totally different from what a photo would show me what an echidna looks like, or seeing an echidna in real life or at the zoo. When you actually look at an echidna or a good photo of an echidna, you'll find that there are lots and lots of colours that you didn't realise was actually there. And the same with birds, and the same with plants and flowers. So that's another good way to pick colours, is just to pull up some colourful pictures on your computer monitor using a search engine, and then study those and choose colours from them. I find that's particularly useful with colouring aquatic scenes such as you'll see in Lost Ocean. Just type in colourful fish and have a look at all the different colour variations of fish that come up, and then choose the ones that attract you the most and use those as a basis to plan your colours. These are the techniques that I use, and I find they're very successful. And occasionally I'll just wing it. I'll just sit down and start and think I want something that's basically warm coloured, so I stick to the reds and the browns and the oranges and yellows, and I'll come up with something like that. Then after a while I'll think, oh no, that's looking too dull, I might throw in a contrasting green or something. But that's kind of like your individual arty self coming through, and you know, and making its appearance and personalising your stuff, and just go with it. If you think, oh, it needs a bit of something, try it. You can always erase it a little bit and put something else over the top if it's not working. But have fun with your colouring. Don't be too worried about picking colours. It is a bit of an art form, and it's something that you'll just get better with over time. Right, I've put this light pink down here and the darker pink here, and I'm going to sort of meld the two together with some pink in the middle. Now, some people would start with the darks and go down to the lights, others start with the lights and go up to the darks. It's really up to you. I'm doing it this way for now because this is what is working for me at present, to put each one extreme at either end and then joining them up in the centre with a medium coloured hue. And there we go. As you can see, my little pink bush is coming together nicely. I'm still trying to decide what colour I'm going to do these. I'm wondering whether to go for a sort of like a burgundy colour or whether to go for a green colour. I still haven't decided yet. With these big pictures, I tend to jump around. I see something, oh, I really want to colour it that colour. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next to it, but I'm pretty sure I want to do this colour, something else, so I'll do this first and then I'll wait to see if inspiration strikes me for the bit that I'm puzzled about. I try not to let myself get stopped because I can't think of which colour to do next. I'll just jump in and do something else. Move to another part of the drawing that I have a more definite feel about which colour I want to go there. I like to work from left hand side of the page and work my way across to the right, but that's because I'm right handed and I'm klutzy and I tend to smear with the back of my hand or the base of my hand whatever I'm colouring. So when I'm jumping all over the place, I'm always careful to grab like a piece of paper, stick it underneath my hand so that I'm protecting anything that I have coloured underneath. Strongly advise you to do that because otherwise you'll end up with kind of like a grey smear, faint grey smear over some of your work, which is pretty difficult to erase. And as you can see, this bush is coming along quite nicely. I'm just patting colour every time my eye catches something, oh, that needs a bit more colour, just jump up and do it. Sort of colouring in little circles so that you don't see the pencil strokes so much. I'm just going to deepen the colour up here a bit more. I think it needs a bit more pink. It's very subtle, but I really want it to show that it's very light in the centre and coming out to dark. Oops. Put that in frame. I'll just do a bit more on this side. This is the first one I did. And there's my piece of paper. Just rubbing about medium to hard. Because I've got a few layers on this already, I've got to press a bit harder to get the newest layer to make an impression. Just being careful not to lose that nice soft gradient look. You can be as fussy with this as you like. I'm going to try not to be too fussy because it's a big picture. Now these pictures, people have asked me how long does it take me to do. Something this size, if I work on it fairly consistently on and off without working on too much else, this will probably take me around about 2 weeks. And total time in hours will probably add up to something like maybe 20 hours worth of work. May not take you anywhere near as long to colour one of these pictures, but I'm really fussy. And I really enjoy just kicking back and meditating and taking my time. Okay, now where else should I colour? I think I might do this tree trunk. Okay, let's see, I've got to pick colours for it now. Oops, almost forgot, I haven't put the final bits on this. Let's see, this is my burnt carmine. I'm just going to flick it in on the tips of these branches, like so. Grab my terracotta and just flick that back up to blend it in a little bit. On the outside of the trees, I'm going to make the this line outside the tree to be a bit variegated. So where these little indentions are, I'm going to colour quite deeply with the burnt carmine and then just fade it out to the sides. And down the bottom here. Need a fairly sharp point to get into these little bits. I'm using the terracotta here just to do the arches of this line, just to make the outline of the tree a little bit more interesting. The bush I should say. There we are. Okay, right, on to the next piece. Okay, I've decided to do these leaves next, and trying to work out what colours to make them. I've used a piece of paper where I've experimented a little bit on certain colour combinations and what I think would work in this part of the drawing, and I kind of like this. I've got the Derwent mineral green, the Derwent May green, and I've got a Polychromos dark red. See how this works. This time I'm just going to colour in the centre of the leaf in the darkest colour and fade it out to the sides. Then I'll take my lighter green, go around the outer edge and fade that in. Yeah, that looks alright. I'll stick with this. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do around the outside yet. Like that. Fade that in. And just to give it a little bit of shadow where it's disappearing behind this bush, I'll just grab this red and I'll just, because this is what they call a complementary colour, which means it sits exactly opposite the green on the colour wheel, I'm going to use it to just dull the base and darken a little bit of this leaf so it looks like it's sort of nestled in behind this bush. Just a little bit around the base, and then you can either use a blending pencil, or I prefer just to use the dark green again in this case. I'll just blend that red in a little bit. There we go. See, and now you've got this leaf sticking up, but there's a little bit in shadow down the bottom. Okay, I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do this with all the leaves. I might, but for now I'll just do it on these leaves with the veins already drawn on them. So now that I'm happy with the one, I'll just go and do the rest with one colour at a time. Another one here on the other side. Don't want to miss you. Don't you hate it when you finish a piece, an area, and you think, oh, I'm done with that colour, and you go on to colour something else, and then you realise you've missed a bit. I do that all the time. Now to go back to my dark red in the Faber Castell Polychromos, and I'll just add a little bit of red down the bottom. I'm pressing very gently here with the red because this is quite an intense dark pigment, and it lays down, it's a very soft pencil and it lays down quite thickly. So only a little bit of pressure just to get a little faint kind of a brownish tinge, shadowy tinge down the bottom. I don't actually want you to see the red. If you're like me, you get so engrossed in doing some artwork or colouring, you forget to eat, and you look up and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you think, I'm starving, I haven't eaten. Okay, I like that, and I think I'll continue all the rest of the leaves with this colour. You could do different coloured leaves around it, but I'm going to make it more uniform. It's starting to feel a little bit too blunt for me to work with. Well, I think that just about does it for today. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions regarding what we've covered today, leave a message for me down below. I'll do my best to get back to you and answer them. If this video is popular, I'll look at doing more of these types of videos in the future where I colour in real time and answer your questions. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy all your future colouring adventures. Until the next video, happy colouring!